Bowie's released album last Friday, Black Star. Look up here, I'm in heaven, I've got scars that can't be seen. I've got drama, can't be stolen. Everybody knows me now. That, Jacqueline, suggests to me a man who knew what was coming, who knew he was desperately ill, and I mean, difficult to watch that though.
Very difficult to watch it now. It's kind of haunting. It's a little bit spooky, and like you said, a man who knew what was coming. But again, you know, his sort of respite, if you like, is in his music and making his art and making his video. So no matter what he was going through, and no one knew what he was going through at the time of making that video or even writing that song, he got through it because of the music and because of the artistry. Talking
about the music, a former editor of NME, we've got Chrissy Morrison on the phone now. Chrissy, we're just talking about how haunting this single Lazarus is.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's so hard, isn't it, when things like this happen, not to read so much into...
Bowie's tunes will be played in the Warren House tonight. #legend, #RIP. I think loads of people are going to do that today, aren't they? They're going to go home, they're going to get out any tunes they've got, and they're just going to play them.
I think you're absolutely right, and you can also see what effect this has from the sort of messages that we're getting on social media for people who work and are heavily involved in the creative world. It is indeed a shocking day for them. We've seen the latest work, but is that how he'll be remembered? I don't think so. I think this is the sort of stuff we'll remember him for. Memories of David Bowie, and a man who would have played an awful lot, probably all of those tunes that we've heard this morning. Radio DJ, Mr. Tony Blackburn. Tony, a sad day for the creative world, for the music world.
Well, certainly a very sad day. It's been a sad couple of days because my old friend Ed Stewart, of course, passed away as well.
Indeed.
So it's been quite a week, but. David Bowie, yes, you know, just an amazing showman, really. And I love Space Oddity. I think that was probably my favourite of his.
Where did he fit? I mean, you know, in your time as a DJ, and you know, you've been there, you've played them all, you've probably met most of them as well.
Yes.
This guy, he didn't seem to play the game the way others did.
No, he was quite unique. I mean, you never know quite what you were going to get from David Bowie. I mean, with Ziggy's Stardust and everything. I remember very, very well indeed meeting him for the first time at a record reception. It must have been in the 70s in Mayfair, where we were waiting to see whether or not Space Oddity was going to go into the charts. And, you know, we were just standing there talking about, you know, as one would, and a lovely guy, a very warm guy. And it was probably one of his first records that we were waiting to hear whether it got in the charts. And then we found out that the figures were tremendous, and he was so happy about it. And I remember joking to him about the laughing no, which, funnily enough, I rather liked.
Yes, it did well on the charts, actually, the Laughing Gnome. It did. Yeah, I think it was a top 10.
He didn't think it was his greatest work, I think. It probably wasn't. But it was, nevertheless, I thought, rather good. And that was the great thing about David Bowie. You never quite knew what you were going to get. And, you know, I thought he was quite a good actor as well.
Yeah. What did you know, in the early 70s, what impact did he make on the music world which you inhabited? Because he would have been an acquired taste.
He was an acquired taste, but I mean, I think when he started dressing up, and I think he put a skirt on at one time, and you never quite knew what he was going to do. So he was just an amazing character, and that was the strength of him. He didn't have to reinvent himself. He kept reinventing himself.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people kept going, and then suddenly thought, oh, we've got to do something different. But with David Bowie, you never quite knew what you were going to get. Nevertheless, it was always something different.
Here are some of the things that we got. Tell me what you think of these. I loved Jean Genie. What about Jean Genie?
Yes, I like that very much indeed as well. I thought it was a great song, and you know, obviously one of his best.
Rebel Rebel?
Rebel Rebel, once again, you know, something totally different. I mean, I'm really heavily into soul music myself, but nevertheless, I can appreciate that this was somebody who was, you know, actually dedicated to his work and was always coming up with something different, which is terribly difficult to do.
Will we see his like again?
I wouldn't have thought so, no. I mean, you can never tell, obviously, but I don't think somebody so imaginative and such a big showman. I mean, I always compare him slightly to Freddie Mercury, who, you know, had this dynamic personality on the stage. And David Bowie, you didn't just go along to see somebody who was a singer. You went along to see somebody who you never quite knew what you were going to get.
And he was a big fan of Mercury, wasn't he? Because when Freddie died, if I remember correctly, he took to the stage, and there were a number of tribute concerts where I think he joined up with Queen at one stage.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. Yes, I think the two of them were very, very similar. You know, they were people who invented different ways of portraying themselves, but at the same time were musically very, very good. They weren't just a gimmick. They just didn't go out there and dress up and not perform. They were great performers. They came up with some great songs.
Tony, appreciate your take on things. Thank you very much indeed. It's the end of an era. David Bowie has died. We're back after this short break. We have to deliver you the news today that the rock legend, the music legend, David Bowie has died. That news released within the last hour and confirmed. And, you know, we could sit and we could be miserable here all day. He was 69 years of age. And actually, between us, we're sitting here remembering music that made us all very, very happy at some stage. What springs to mind, Jackie?
Well, I love Let's Dance. I love Heroes. That's probably my favourite. I love Rebel Rebel. I remember dancing to it. And
Jean Genie.
Yeah, Jean Genie, you know, real sort of floor filler. And what's really weird is that so many people are mourning his passing. Like Denise Lewis just tweeted, "Can't believe he's gone. David Bowie, he's a music icon we've just lost." But she would be too young, really, for David Bowie. But it seems like it doesn't matter how young you were. You knew his music. You thought he was a legend. He is a legend.
Yeah, Rebel Rebel. Remember that one?
I do, but one that really sticks out for me, kind of growing up in the 80s, was Dancing in the Streets, his duet with Mick Jagger, and that video, they did a great video together. And I think that's what's so interesting about him, because you said a little bit earlier that he was quite a scary character in some of his outfits, some of his costumes. He wasn't all that accessible, and some of his music as well, but at the same time, he was really mainstream. He did some great songs that kind of resonated, kind of whatever age you were, and, you know, whatever your kind of tastes in music, you know, there was all, you could find something in his music that you kind of enjoyed.
And it's astounding to think that for the last 40 years he's stayed current. I think Paul Gambaccini earlier was saying that nobody could believe he was that old, 69. He didn't ever feel old. He performed at
because of the look,
Glastonbury.
because of the makeup, because of the style changed and evolved, and as Jackie said, the art, the whole thing, the whole package that came with him. The record is 5 UK number one, 61 UK top 40s, 13 weeks at number one, 336 weeks in the top 40. 25 UK top 10s. I could go on and on. I mean, if that doesn't grant you legendary status, then nothing will, really.
Yeah, a boy born in Brixton in London, and 4 decades later, we're talking about him as one of music's great innovators. He was an inspiration. He was, despite the fact he never gave interviews, he hardly ever performed. I think the last time we saw him performing in 2006, but he's got this mystique. He was unbelievably, an unbelievable performer. He was just a legend. That's what everybody's saying.
Do you think that he was the first one to wear makeup? I can't work out whether it's Mark Bolan or him. It's probably him and then Mark
No, I
Bolan
think he was ahead of Mark. I think he was just ahead. But it was all that whole glam rock era.
Yeah, and he was the sort of the brave one. He thought, you know, I'm going to do this for my creativity. This is what I want to look like. I'm going to do it. And then people followed down the years, didn't they, wearing makeup?
Okay.
Yeah, and Ziggy Stardust. I mean, he was the first person